Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I would like to welcome everybody to another virtual and in-person regular board meeting. Board members and some of the staff should be visible on your video. This is a reminder to board members to please mute your microphone when you are not speaking and do not use the WebEx chat function. This public meeting will have its regular public comment period. The time limit for public comment is 3 minutes per person. If you do plan on offering public comment this evening, please open your participant list, hover over your name, click the raise your hand button. By following these steps, staff will see that you would like to make public comment, and you will be permitted to do so. If necessary, town staff is available and prepared to confirm and attempt to resolve any technical issues. If you are having technical problems and are unable to participate meaningfully in this meeting, please email Robert Bishop. His email address is at the top of our agenda, and they will work with you to get that problem solved. We appreciate your patience with this virtual format. As with our in-person meetings, our hope is to create a friendly and respectful atmosphere for public dialogue. I call to order this regular meeting of the Monument Board of Trustees, Monday, October 19th, 2020. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Hogan, will you take roll, please?
Mayor Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Elliott?
Here.
Trustee Clark?
Here.
Trustee LeKind?
Here.
Trustee Romanello?
Here.
Trustee Stevens?
Here.
Trustee Unruh?
Here.
Okay, before us we have a consent agenda. Do we have any modifications or a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Hogan?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Unruh?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee LeKind?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Elliott?
Yes.
Trustee Stevens?
Yes.
Trustee Romanello?
Yes.
Okay. First item on our agenda, oath of office. Chief Hemingway.
Drew, good? If I could have Commander Hudson come up with me. Mayor Wilson, Board of Trustees, Town Administration, members of the Monument Police Department, and our amazing residents, it's my pleasure and honor to swear in 2 new additions to the Monument Police Department. Before us tonight are 2 men of outstanding character with sound judgment. And who have already committed much of their adult life to the community and our great nation. At this time, I ask Officer Keith Fisher and Officer James Wader to join me to my left at the podium with their guests and families. Please separate by your families. I'd also like to just say, as fortunate as we are here at the police department to be able to recruit men of this experience and character, I must say that you both are equally blessed to be employed by a community who has demonstrated on countless occasions their commitment to supporting this police department and law enforcement in general. So on behalf of the police department board and residents, we continue to thank you for your outstanding support. Present Officer Keith Fisher. Officer Fisher joined the Monument Police Department on September of 2020. Accompanying him today are his part-time family, Evan and Dina Cox, as well as many friends and co-workers. Keith comes to us from Parker County Sheriff's Department, Texas. During his career there, he served, during his 7-year career, he served in the following capacities. He served as a deputy, a field training officer, an active shooter instructor, and a general investigative unit detective. Prior to Parker, Fisher served with the Army as a military police officer, where he served in patrol, combat, operations, intelligence, and also as a supervisor. Keith was deployed for 3 separate tours in Iraq for a total of 3 years. Keith currently attends Liberty University and is pursuing his bachelor's degree in crime scene management. I present Officer Fisher. I now present Officer James Wader. Officer James Wader joined the Monument Police Department October 12th, 2020. Accompanying him today is his mother, Jenny Lee Hibbert, as well as his coworkers. Unfortunately, his wife and children are out of town at this time. James comes to us from City of Golden Police Department. He was hired by the City of Golden in July of 2018, where he worked in the patrol division for 2 years while he was employed with him. During his career in Golden, he received 2 Chief Stars, which are outstanding commendations. Congratulations on those. Prior to joining the Pike Peak Community College Police Academy, James also serving 10 years in the U.S. Air Force. Go Falcons. He served from 2005 to 2015 with 5 overseas tours of duty. James was a security police officer and a canine handler. James' hobbies are family. He has 4 children, with 2 of them are 1-month-old twins. He enjoys golf, and he's currently pursuing his master's degree. At this time, I'd like to administer the oaths to both of them simultaneously. Please raise your right hand. I, please state your names.
I, Keith Fisher,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and bear true faith
that I will support and bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
and allegiance to the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
and the state of Colorado,
the state of Colorado,
and to the ordinances of the town of Monument,
to the ordinance of the town of Monument,
and that I would defend and protect the lives,
and that I will defend and protect the lives,
the safety,
safety,
and the property
and the property
of the people of Monument,
of the people of Monument,
and that I will, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of the office of peace officer
of the office of peace officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, welcome to the Monument Police Department. It is now with great confidence that I present Officers Fisher and Wader to this town administration, Mayor Wilson and the Board of Trustees, the Monument Police Department family, and to our residents of the town of Monument as they enter their roles as police officer. Again, congratulations, folks. Okay, thanks. Mayor, Council, thank you.
Congratulations, gentlemen, and welcome. The next item on our agenda is I-25 South Gap update. Mr. Neeman, is he with us?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right.
Actually, one second. Are we bringing up the presentation?
Yeah.
Give us just a second to bring up the presentation,
Sure.
and then we'll get you started. Is that presentation mode, Drew? Okay.
You ready?
Go ahead, Mr. Neeman.
All right, let's go here. Well, good evening, you guys. My name is Paul Neiman. I'm the CDOT project director for the South Gap project. I'll try and give you guys a quick little update on what we've been doing down there on this 18-mile stretch of the highway. So let's go on to the next slide here. There we go. So just a little recap of the project. You know, we are 18 miles here from Castle Rock to Monument, of course. We've got the project kind of broken into 3 sections as we are building this thing out, as we were kind of forced to put this, to get this out as quick as we could. We package this into these sort of sections here, which we call packages. So this north section is what we went out the door with in 2018. 2018 is the first package come online. We're about 2 years into our anniversary here, just over 2 years now. So overview on this project is, you know, the key points of the project here are trying to improve trip reliability and safety in this corridor. So with that, these are the identified issues that are the identified solutions that we came up with to kind of meet those goals based out of our study and everything. So part of it, and of course the whole part of it, is the express lane, the managed lane, and just additional, when it says pavement, there's really just additional shoulders to allow for incidents and, you know, people to safely get a pull over on the road, things of that, those types of things there. So the first section was really the easiest section, really no bridges in that section. We've just got pavement and express lane in there, and we're about ready to be kind of what we call substantial completion on that, not full completion, but substantial here at the end of the month. The middle section there, the Skyview to Greenland Road, we've got quite a few bridges in there, plus a new wildlife crossing. So we're replacing 3 of the bridges, Upper Lake Gulch, Spruce Mountain, and Plum Creek. And then we're installing a new wildlife crossing right there, just to the south side of the rest stops, basically at the rest stops there. And then we've got, again, you know, pavement, express lane, of course, and also in this section, it's not listed here, we've got the auxiliary lane that's going from Skyview to the Spruce Mountain off-ramp there. We've added that. That will be a new amenity in there, so you'll basically have a kind of a 4-lane section in there between those 2 interchanges. And then the southern section has got another, it's got 3 new wildlife bridges and Greenland, right? So we're replacing the entire Greenland interchange, getting rid of that box culvert there. And then we've got 3 new wildlife crossings that have been identified that are in there going on. And all of the bridges are in construction right now. The final one is the County Line Road Bridge. That one just came online here. We're finishing up design and about to go out to construction with that next year. Basically, we'll build that in 2021. We also have the big part of this southern section is this truck climbing lane. So we now have this going from Greenland all the way over to the port. We had it a little bit shorter at first, and we were able to acquire some additional funding for freight. And we actually got this now all the way through. So this is a good 4 or 5 mile climbing lane for the trucks, starting at Greenland as you come on at Greenland, going southbound all the way to the ports there, the stations. So that is that'll be a good improvement. That's also will be a nice 4-lane section there. As you'll have that truck climbing lane plus 2 general purpose lanes plus the express lane in that area there. So just a quick overview. And then, of course, we're doing all the way up to Toma Road, basically the real Toma Road, not the exit for Skyview there, but actual Toma Road is getting deer fenced the entire length of this both sides. So that'll help funnel all the deers and everything into, or all the wildlife into those wildlife crossings that we're building. So let's go to the next slide here. So bunch of things really I've talked about here. Just our 2-year anniversary was September 4th of 2020 here. We just completed that, past that now, and that's so really that's a good thing for us. We still have another roughly 2 years on the project, right? That's about our midway point. However, we've probably done about 3/4 of the billing for that. We've spent about $200 million in construction now, right? So we've really been making good headway, good progress this summer. We did a lot of pavement, a lot of stuff, which is our critical path. We have about 800,000 tons of asphalt we need to put down on this entire project, and we're well on track to put that down and get this project done by 2022. So we've got a key point of the project here, right, is increasing the safety and mobility with the express lanes and the wider shoulders. The wildlife crossings also add into safety with trying to reduce the hits in there. As you guys know, this is a pretty significant hit area for wildlife crossing the road, a significant migration route rather for them. So that'll be some good improvements for everybody, besides the bridges and improving some of the technology in the corridor with upgrading the fiber optic systems and things like that. So we've got the climbing lane, like I said, there, which will kind of act as will be a 4th lane in that area there. So it'll be pretty a really good improvement for Monument Hill. We've got tolling the express lane, right? The express lane actually ends right before County Line Road, so it doesn't actually go into El Paso County, but it ends right before that. And the same on the way going northbound. It starts just after the County Line Bridge and then continues to just about Castle Rock, Toma Road area is where it ends at. So with one exit, or there's an exit out of that in Larkspur in the mid section of that whole entire express lane. So we've got 5 miles. Like I said, this north section is pretty much what we call substantially complete. So we are done with all the paving there, the improvements. We are ready to open, or really just pulling out our construction, some of our construction devices. We still have some work to do in there, but that will come later. We have to finish installing some of the sign structures for the express lane, and we've got some of the pavement markings we still have to do to actually complete that, but we cannot do it at this time because we still have packages 2 and 3. The adjacent packages are still under construction for us to, we need to finish that, in other words, before we can get everything finished out in that first section also. So, and then just another key point about safe driving, which is really what people are not doing in the corridor, and we continue to have issues with that, and let's continue to message that on our project about people just please slow down. We have a really robust PR campaign that we put out, texts, emails, all kinds of information to people, just letting them try and understand what we're doing here. And please, really the key point of that is just slow down in the work zone as far as helping everybody out to control the incidents in there, as we have kind of limited ability to get into places, and just it's a tight area for 18 miles as it has been. So let's go to the next slide. And I think we're going to, yeah, the next slide here. Good. Okay. So this is how the north section is going to open up here. And we've got a lot of questions on this here and there, but basically how we're going to open this is, as you see in that plan there, we're going to have the 2 general purpose lanes. Of course, those have always been there. Those will remain. The shoulder we have now, this huge 12-foot shoulder on your right-hand side. And then we'll now have where the express lane will be is 27-foot area to the median barrier there. So that is going to remain like this, unstriped, until the rest of the project is completed. So then we can open the express lanes all together at one time. So we went through various different things to look at this, and this is really the safest way we can open this in the temporary, in the temporary situation that we're in, because we're not done with the entire project. And even though we're done with a lot of this area here, we still have some issues with safety trying to open this add this express lane in here. We didn't want people to get into it when it goes nowhere, because basically we're not completed in the other packages there. So the good thing here is this opens this up for improved incident response. We have all of this pavement now for the fire trucks or any type of response vehicles to get into these places. We have areas for enforcement now in this 27-foot area that'll be there until, like I said, until we complete the other parts of the project down south there. So let's go to the next slide. So here's just a picture of what it looks like basically, and it's a little hard to see there, but I think you can kind of see the median barrier there where, and then the wide pavement there, and then the 2 GP lanes, the general purpose lanes are there. So we got quite a bit of good improvements there, like I said, for incident response and just any, it's just wide open there now. So let's go to the next slide. So just some other progress things real quick, and just various places. We have all of the 8 bridges right now under construction, and here's some percentages on them. You know, Spruce Mountain is nearly done. We're about to open that here in the next few weeks. So we're just doing the tie-ins basically for that Spruce Mountain Bridge that's been out, the northbound movement, basically coming out of Larkspur. So we've got Upper Lake Gulch, you know, under construction, kind of moved into another phase there. And then Plum Creek, which those 3 bridges are really close proximity there. So, and then we got the reconstruction of County Line Bridge coming next year. So, which is, you know, 0% complete right now, but we'll go right into that next year. So, and then we've got just a lot of the drainage pipe. That's a big thing too. We've just got tons and tons of miles of drainage pipe here that we've got 7 miles of it complete, you know, and that's the first thing to go on. Let's go to the next slide. So here's a picture of the Spruce Mountain Bridge. Like I say, you can see maybe there to the left where the red vehicles are sitting. That's part of the final tie-in work we have to do to get that bridge open. But that's how that bridge is looking now. That's, you know, a relatively current picture a few weeks ago. So next slide. Just some more updates. Just, you know, the other 4 bridges are under construction, or well, all 4 of the wildlife bridges are under construction. We have some of those just in various, they're all in various stages, right? We're like a bridge building process. We build one bridge and go to the next bridge and just kind of keep going as we do that. We tear parts of it out and then do that and repeat on each of these bridges here. So we've got 14 miles of the deer fencing installed, up 27 miles total that will be in there. We've got all the fiber, pretty much all the fibers done, and then we've revamped a lot of the fiber optics in there just for increase you know, technology basically, right? New cameras, we're installing some other cameras so we have better coverage in there. So, and then just paving, like I said, paving is our critical path. We have 800,000 tons, 850,000 tons. That number keeps jumping around a little bit, but 800,000 tons of asphalt is quite a bit. If you can imagine it, usually about 2-3 miles is about 40,000 tons. It takes us about 6 months to do. We've got this number we've got to do over 18 miles in the next few years. So we're about 350,000 tons into it. And like I said, it's our critical path. So you see us out there a lot of times doing this paving. I mean, it's really what we need to do every day to keep the project on schedule. So next slide. Last couple slides here. Just here's a picture of Greenland. Just kind of, you know, this is going pretty good. This is where the old box culvert was. You can see all the traffic that really pushed over to the east side of this new structure. And you can kind of see there, the west side is what's being built there. We're getting ready to, you know, finish that bridge up there. So it's going along pretty good there at Greenland. Go to the next slide, please. So just ongoing impacts, like anything, we just have a lot of traffic shifts. The next few weeks, we have just lots and lots of traffic switches and some of these extended closures. These 16-hour ones, we have a few of these here and there next week. I believe next Monday, I'm sorry, this week in here, we have 12-hour closures to do some deep drainage work. Next week, we're planning on doing a 16-hour closure at Skyview. This is between Skyview and Spruce Mountain. So, you know, the key to this here is really there's just a lot of phasing going on. Since May of this year, we did a traffic switch every 2 weeks in the gap there, just because it's kind of critical to us getting to paving more and more parts of it. So we're we're moving along with paving, but it's just very impactful as we change all the time and we try and message this out with PR and everything. So that's really the big thing here. I guess the other point here to make is, we have these closures, the detours. We are not detouring traffic through any other means, but other than I-25. All of our detour routes, we will not allow them to detour through Larkspur or Monument or Palmer Lake or anything like that. Now, granted, we know people know the shortcuts and they'll do it on their own, but our main messaging on the project is still consistently, has always been, we do not detour I-25 traffic anywhere else. We don't try and send them to 105 or 83. We keep them on the project, or we keep them doing these ramp to ramp type of detours or short little detours around Upper Lake Gulch there. That's it. So and that's still what we're going to do. The rest of the project, we figured out mainly we can do that and keep traffic there. We don't want to push them anywhere else. As we've learned from kind of law enforcement, there's no other better place for them to go, no matter what. So, and then we have this 7-month closure on Monument Hill frontage road there. That's closed for the additional part of the deer crossing there on the frontage road. So that went into effect August 24th, and just we're in process on that. So nothing more there really. Next slide here. This is just some more safety efforts, just so you guys understand that we continually, are working on trying to keep the public safe as they travel through this work zone, because it is, a lot of things in 18 miles to deal with. One of the best things we've done, I like to hit on, is these bi-weeklies, the bi-weekly meetings every 2 weeks we have with first responders, law enforcement, CSP, everybody's in there. We have Office of Emergency Management, even CDOT maintenance, all these guys. Just every 2 weeks, we talk about what's going on in the project, what's coming up. We look for problems in any of the traffic control and try and fix it as best we can. So that's by far been super helpful for the project. It's helpful for all the first responders to kind of understand what the project's doing weekly, and keeping tabs on us and working together on any of these incidents that we have, daily on the project there. So really, that never stops. That continues. We have our courtesy patrol, our tow trucks in sync with the operations center that we built on the project to try and get these incidents cleared quicker, faster, and just keep the public as safe as we can, while also keeping our workers safe as best we can. So I think that's the last slide. Let me see, go to the next slide here, because we wanted to get to an update here. Yeah, so, and I'm not sure, they're emailing me. I think we were going to do an update here with some of the noise stuff here. So, yeah. So here, I want to make sure, Chuck Attardo is our environmental manager, is on board here to talk about the noise walls and some things. We know we've had some issues with that. We've hosted and talked to some of the citizens down there around the port. And so Chuck is going to get on board here and give a quick little update, a briefing of what we told them here. So, unless you guys have any other questions, but I'll be online here if you guys have questions about anything I talked about, or do you want to talk or go on and listen to Chuck?
Go ahead, Chuck, and we will ask questions afterwards.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for not forgetting about me. Appreciate it. I love working with this guy. So I only have one slide tonight. Again, Chuck Attardo, CDOT, I-25 South Environmental Manager. I only have one slide, but we know this is a really important topic to you. So Mayor Wilson, Board of Trustees, if you have questions afterwards, please, I can follow up with you on this. So I just want to talk a bit about traffic noise with a focus in the Monument area. First, we conduct a noise study anytime there's a major reconstruction project, and the South Gap project certainly qualifies for that. Number two, we use a computer model to generate and predict noise levels 20 years into the future under worst case traffic conditions. Okay, any house residence that gets a 66 decibel level or higher in that analysis is considered an impact. And that 66 decibel level, just to give you some context, has some meaning. The federal government and the state of Colorado believe that, say, if you and I were at 3 feet and we were carrying on a conversation, that conversation shouldn't be interrupted by traffic noise. So that gives you a little context maybe about what 66 is. The picture on this slide to the right is clipped right out of the noise study report for the I-25 South Gap project. And there's two boxes. The top box is for the Colorado Heights area, and the bottom box near the bottom of the picture there is for Monument Meadows. And we have boxes there because there was a little more focus. We had a ton of sites that were at 66 decibels or higher, or an impact. But I do want to say that we did look at every residence within a 500-foot halo of the interstate, not just in those boxes. And what do I mean by 500-foot halo? Well, at 500 feet, 550 feet, 600 feet, the further you go out, noise really loses its punch, okay? And our noise model can't even predict noise levels at 500 feet or greater. You never see an impact from traffic noise anyway at 500 feet or greater. So we stick to this 500-foot halo in our noise studies. Let's see, what else do I want to say? So 2 noise walls were recommended in the monument area, one for the RV park, one for the mobile home park. And that's for a couple of reasons. First of all, they were really, really effective. They reduced noise to those sites by 5 to 7 decibels, and in some cases, 10 decibels. And I know that's hard to picture, but rarely do you ever see a noise wall with a 10 decibel reduction. That's really good. Second, there weren't any fatal flaw engineering issues like safety or drainage or major utility conflicts with the noise walls. Thirdly, and probably most importantly, they met a cost-benefit criteria. So they were able to benefit a lot of residents for the construction costs. So a big bang for the buck. And then lastly, they had support. We actually had to talk to the managers of Monument Meadows and Colorado Heights and make sure that they wanted these noise walls. And of course they did. So we only fund noise walls that do a really great job at reducing levels and give a great benefit for the costs. The feds simply won't pay for them unless they do that. And then I guess 2 points before I throw it back to Paul to finish this out. I just want to emphasize again, we did look at all the noise sensitive sites within the 500-foot halo of the interstate, east and west of the interstate, and it did include a number of single family homes. And then secondly, a noise wall needs to pass a series of tests and meet a bunch of criteria before we can recommend it, and the feds and the state will pay for it. And that's all I'll say for now, and I'll hand it back to Paul.
Yeah, I don't really have anything additional to that. I mean, it's just trying to make sure we inform you guys as we have we've heard citizens giving us some calls about these things, and we've tried to at least tell them our reasoning behind this and how we actually do this design. So if you guys have questions, I guess that's really all I have.
Okay, do we have any questions from the board? Okay, Paul, I have a question. When we started this project, we were on the low end of traffic accidents, and then we had that fast-moving quick winter storm last year that kind of added to that. Where are we with accidents during construction versus prior construction now?
Well, this is the thing. I've talked about this, and everybody wants to know this accident rate, right? And it's a hard thing to predict. We have some numbers, but and I don't even have the number off the top of my head, but we have some numbers. Whatever that number is, the problem is we don't have a way to compare that number to show if it's safe, not safe, if it's different than before. Of course, it's going to be different than prior. Prior to us even getting there in 2018, the 3 years prior to that, I think we had 1,500 incidents that we recorded from State Patrol. And so, we went through, and it's difficult to decipher some of that. We had 13 fatalities in that 3-year period before the project got there. So now you look from 2018 to the last 2 years that we've been there, we're grabbing data. We have a couple different places where we grab data, but CDOT data, the data that's the actual data compared to that 1,500 vehicle accidents, it's not all there yet because our data usually lacks about 6 months behind, right? That's data that's collected from CSP and report it to us, to the Treasury, is where it goes. And then we get the data, and then we calculate it, and we program and actually put the data into the way we code all of this stuff. So I don't have, I don't have all that data. CSP, we've been working close with CSP, getting data, seeing where we're at. We know we don't have nearly the amount of fatalities, right? There was a fatality last week on the frontage road that was not due to us. Somebody was doing 120 miles an hour and went through one of our barriers on the frontage road, and that was, unfortunate there. But again, in the work zone, we haven't had any type of fatalities that have been due to construction, work zone, or anything like that, which is good. It depends on how you want to look at the numbers. Trying to figure out, like, if our project has created more incidents or is higher than expected type of incident rates than another project is nearly impossible, because CDOT, and we don't track data like that, nor can we, because, one, we're the longest construction project ever at CDOT, 18 miles. C470 was 11 miles. So, and C470 is more urban urban than we are in the rural area and stuff. So we can't even, it's hard to put those apples to apples together. So I have some numbers. We have a courtesy patrol. The tow truck is required to log every single incident that we attend to. And we have something like 3,000 incidents total that we've hit. But out of that 3,000, and like I said, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me here, but out of that 3,000 incidents, most of those incidents are just flat tires, people running out of gas, things that we assisted with the courtesy patrol, and that's the value of the tow trucks. They're in there helping those people out and getting them out of the way as quick as we can to prevent the secondary incidents, which is what we've learned from CSP and Douglas County and all the first responders. So it's difficult to say where we're at with incidents, accidents, what kind of there's like a whole bunch of numbers that really need a traffic engineer, but they just can't compare it. The traffic engineers won't compare it to anything because there isn't anything to say, because that's how they like to, because the accident rate, has it increased or not? They just don't want to say, well, yeah, we've had 3,000 accidents or 3,000 incidents, but is that high? Is that expected? Unknown there. So I can get you some numbers if you just want to see. I mean, we talk about them every week in our biweekly meeting with the first responders, because that's what we're doing with the data that we're collecting and trying to recap what incidents we had, lessons learned, what do we need to fix out there and change. And I mean, we have a huge focus on safety, trying to get people through this project there. So I don't know if that answers your question there, but that's what I've
That does answer my question. Actually, I remember us discussing before how delayed it was to get the information. I'll say, as somebody who has been a daily driver of this corridor for over 10 years now, I believe I've seen a decrease in the amount of accidents during high travel times. So that's, to me, that's a plus. It seems like it is. I hear people mention how difficult this drive can be during construction, but the savings on accidents, damage, and bodily harm seems to have been well worth it thus far.
Yeah, we believe the incident types are down for sure. The crashes with injury, which is the big focus. We have a lot of crashes possibly, but with no injury. And we know in our numbers they're down. The crashes without injury are way higher than the ones with an injury, which is, there's a plus there, right? Rather just have some property damage than anybody getting injured. So like I said, it's just hard to completely decipher that or compare it, and say, what do you compare it against? It's a major construction zone, and it's a tough, but like I said, we have a lot of money invested in trying to provide safety to the smart work zone systems and things we've installed. The coordination with the first responders has been invaluable for them to know what's going on and them to feed us information, and we can try and change things immediately if we think something is not right. We've upgraded the striping, nighttime stuff. I mean, we continue to do that, and we will. We just continue to do that. We'll continue through the rest of this project, trying to just PR to people, really slow down in the gap area. But as you know, we're all motorists, and we don't always obey what somebody tells us to do. So that's where we're at sometimes.
Exactly. Are there any other questions from the board before we wrap this up? Okay, hearing none, Paul and Chuck, thank you for being with us this evening, and thank you for the update.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, resolution number 42-2020, a resolution awarding an amendum to existing contract with Forest Grin. Mr. Foreman, would you like to get us started on this? I think he just stepped out.
Okay. Microphone. This is a resolution awarding an addendum to an existing contract to Forest Grin Associates for combining the design and engineering services needed for both the radium removal project and the water treatment plant building and expansion. Tom feels like that doing these two together will save us money, and both these projects need to be done sooner than later. And so by expanding the water treatment plant, it will allow us to have a larger area for the employees to work. And Tom is back.
So didn't we already have one of these? Both of these items were in the budget?
Yes, this is just for the design and engineering services needed for them. So it's an addendum to the existing contract. You approved the contract previously. This is an addendum to it.
What part is the addendum to it?
This is an addendum to the radium removal project that we started several months ago. We have learned since that point that this project, due to the size of the equipment, is going to require a building expansion. And we already had a project on the books of which we bid out with Yonko Engineers, and Forest Grin was a low bid on that one for the same facility, but on the north end. So it made sense to look into, why don't we combine these two projects and save on some engineering and design, and then we expect to have some cost savings on construction once it bids out as one single project instead of two.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, we already approved the radium part of this project,
Yes,
and now it's going to take up more space, but we had already planned on expanding that building. So this is just adding in the extra space needed and adding on the initial expansion to it.
yes,
Yes.
for the most part.
Okay.
Remember, we had used the money to expand the building on a
Well project.
Yes.
Okay.
But these both fall within the budget for 2020. And they're carried into 2021, because they won't be done until next year. And both these projects fall underneath the bond issue, where we listed all the projects we would use that funding for.
Okay. Questions from the board on this resolution? If there are no questions, I'll look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 42-2020, a resolution awarding an addendum to an existing contract to Forest Grin Associates for combining the design and engineering services needed for both the radium removal and water treatment plant building expansion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Hogan, will you take roll?
Trustee Unruh,
Yes.
Trustee LeKind,
Yes.
Trustee Stevens,
Yes.
Trustee Clark,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Elliott,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
Trustee Romanello.
Yes.
That motion passes 6-1. Moving on to discussion items. 2021 budget, Mr. Foreman.
Yes, Mayor and the board. We showed you a slide earlier, and I'm going to suggest to the board and to the mayor that we go back to the October 5th slide. I've given that to Drew. Drew's going to pull that up. I think it's going to create confusion if we continue giving you new numbers. These supplemental requests, we just need a direction from you on the percentages and your priority for supplemental request for tonight. As you know, our sales tax continues to come in every month. And the numbers that we gave you on October 5th probably are the ones we need to stick with right now, because if we don't, then every month we'll be giving you new numbers. And so you'll still have an opportunity to change your decisions before we approve the budget if you want to, or again next year. You could add some supplemental request in next year as we see our reserve grow.
So Ms. Hogan printed out the new numbers for us. I agree with you. I think we should make a decision, move forward, and not keep moving the goalposts on what we're trying to do. So using the one we have on the screen now.
Right. That's the
You need-
$650,000.
You need, and if the board's in agreement with that, you need direction from the board on which avenue we're going to pursue as far as general fund versus capital projects or supplemental request percentages.
Yes, sir.
Comments from the board?
So what are we agreeing to, the percentage or the dollar amount?
The percentage is going to be different based on the dollar amount. So we're looking for a percentage of what we want to go to our fund balance versus what we want to go to our projects.
Okay. So FB ending is what?
Fund balance.
Fund balance. Okay. So that's not reserves or that's related to.
It's related to, yeah.
Right.
And I'm not sure what everybody else put together for kind of their ideas on what they were looking at, but I put together using the 40-60 plan, kind of what I felt might be good to pursue among those projects using the 40-60 plan.
So does the 40-60 plan mean we're going to go with a 3.6%, or does it mean we're going to go, I guess this is my same question again that I'm not clear on.
So that would put us at putting 40% of that total fund balance to basically our reserves. Which would amount to 3.6% of our recommended reserves, right?
Exactly. Remember, we had the discussion last time, I think on October 5th, we had the discussion about that our fund balance our reserve was about 1.3, and where did we want to take it to? And so we've given you some options here, anywhere from 25.75 to 100 to 0. And so that would give you a fund balance anywhere from 2.2 to 9.4. And so remember, the recommended by, I can't remember the name. GFOA, the recommended by GFOA is 25%. So we're going to have to grow this to get there. 15%. And so we're going to have to grow this to get to 15%. We're not trying to bite it all off in the first year.
So to clarify, looking at the general fund summary, it looks like the unreserved fund balance in this projected budget is $796,000. Okay. On this sheet here that you guys.
Right.
Okay.
What page is that?
Page 1.
That's the update.
Okay. And then, so this $650,000 is not part of that. We'd be adding in Don's example, we'd be adding 260,000 to that 796. Is that?
No, that's part of that. That 796 is the fund balance.
Okay. So that is what the
The
650
update, yeah, the update.
is coming
Right.
from.
Exactly.
Okay. So.
And you got to remember, that's going to change month to month. Sales tax could decrease next month.
Okay.
For some reason, sales tax could increase. And so that number, so we need to pick a number. That was my point earlier. We need to pick a number, and I think we ought to pick the 650. And
Now-
let's go with that and make decisions based on that. And then
Well-
we can come back to you and bring you the final numbers and you can make future decisions.
Well, just so I'm understanding, this is what I'm saying. So if let's look at the 650, that's fine. It does,
Mhm.
percentages is really what we need to make a decision on.
Right.
But, so then what we're saying on this is that in the 40-60 example that the mayor used on the 650,000, we'd be taking 390,000 off that 790 for supplemental requests. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm clarifying. So I understand that. And then, I think that at one point in time, as we were talking about this, and I see that the committee is not the right word, everybody's department enlisted in priority. I think at one time we had spoken, I'm pretty confident, that we kind of directed you to say, hey, of all these department priorities, what do you feel as the executive here are the overall priorities out of all of them? Have you put some thought into that?
Yeah, and I kind of went over that tonight. If
Okay.
you saw when we were
Right.
going through everybody's presentation, I
Okay.
kind of put some input on that. So that's what I was doing, was giving you what we felt like. And also, we kind of reviewed this list that was given to you, and those are right along what we thought were some of our top priorities.
Are we making decisions tonight on let's say, for example, we gave direction that we want 40-60 hypothetically.
Right.
Are we then going to make decisions tonight on going through this and either saying, yeah, the mayor's list looks good, or we need to make some adjustments, or which ones we're
Well-
actually going to do? Do we need to make that decision right now?
That's making those decisions was what was to be done between the last meeting and this meeting for those priorities.
So like I said
But doesn't
earlier,
the,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, but doesn't the board need to agree with the input from the town on this? Before we decide what our recommendation is?
Well, and that's what we were looking for, is kind of what everybody's recommendation is and where that, if that meets what the town feels, or what staff feels. So I think we're open to other recommendation, anybody's recommendations.
I would like to still suggest the 50-50.
Okay.
So my disconnect is the necessary supplemental request, total amount in dollars. What is that? What does the town staff see as, what are the most necessary and what's the total amount? And then from there, that gives us guidance on the percentage line that we should be picking.
I'm not sure I'm following. I think that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the list that you got, the supplemental request for the general fund were $2.35 million. And then on the community development was $330,000 for a total of
So we've got
2.6.
So we've got a laundry list there of many things that need to be done, but I don't think I've heard the board agree on what the things are from the supplemental requests that we should be selecting in order to understand where do we fall on this table here. I don't want to just randomly pick a percent.
Right, and that's what we were asking board members to bring with them this board meeting, is what their priorities were.
Well, personally, I think we should set the reserves first. And then from there, we should fill in the supplemental values based on what we've established as the reserve working number from the reserves.
I agree with Trustee Stevens.
I think that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thinking. Because if we start with the supplemental and just say this is important, then we'll keep pushing back and forth. But I think given the fact that we're in a COVID year and we don't know what's going to happen next year as far as this is concerned, I think reserves are, for me at least, are the number one priority.
And I don't want to ever see us in a situation where we have to come in with an emergency and slash and burn, the budget because things have just turned the wrong way. So,
Okay, so
I agree. Reserves are important.
okay, so what are the suggestions? My suggestion was 40-60. Trustee Clark suggested 50-50. Do we have other suggestions?
well, given the fact that our numbers are going up, and I know we decided just from a working perspective to work with the October numbers, the original October numbers. I originally said 50-50, but I'm willing to work with, go 40-60 since we seem to see an improvement here. I'm comfortable with 40-60.
Okay,
I agree with that.
As do I.
Trustee Unruh?
I mean, I agree with I think that we need to be more conservative. I prefer like the 50-50, just because, I mean, like the times we're in and what's coming, I think we need to lean the more conservative route.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Elliott?
I want to make sure that we're doing what is needed for the town with the supplemental requests, at the same time having reserves. So I guess I'm going to push for the 40-60.
Okay, so town staff has its 40-60 number. And now it's a matter of prioritizing what everyone feels is those priorities out of the supplemental list.
Right. So what's our working number? Are we going to go with 390?
390.
Okay.
I on going through the list and hearing what we talked about, it sounds to me like the clerk $3,600 is really important, and so I'm just kind of using the mayor's list as a rubric here, so to speak, of some things that are on, but of from what I heard that is important through our discussion, and I know that he printed this and prepared this before the discussion. I think the record management 3,600 is not on there, and that's important. I don't know about the vehicles, and I think that what did we talk that the permitting software should wait until we get further on. And then the police. So if the sales tax passes, can we change these items? Because that will take care of the police, and would we get these funds to do a different project?
You can do that.
We can do that. Okay, that's what I'm asking.
So in regards to your comment, the records management, I think would fall under the leeway on this. The specific, right. And I think I would hope that the town manager would be able to come up with the 600 somewhere.
I think I can find that, sir.
Okay. Judging by this other possible.
Andrew has his checkbook out right now.
Okay.
So are we going on the assumption that the tax for the police is going through or not going through?
I think we need to work as if it's not going through.
Okay.
But as long as we're able to modify.
Yeah, we'll
be,
back and modify.
I mean, I think it's going to be more of a question of what's the easiest way to modify versus can we modify? Because I think I got a little confused on the last discussion, but I felt it was probably easier to go ahead with the budget, submit it, and then submit a budget amendment after the new year. But I believe town staff said they had no problem with issuing a new budget before our final budget if that happened.
Yeah, Rosa and I talked about that earlier. And Rosa, you agree, I think, that we still have time to be able to do that after the election, correct?
That is correct. I actually met with the police department last week, and we're working on setting up a side budget of what those new dollars would look like from sales tax that we can incorporate if needed. So I would suggest that the board operate at the moment as if it's not going to pass, and whatever amount ends up being set aside for police, say it's $75,000, I'm just throwing out a number, we can come back to right before the budget is going to be approved and we integrate everything and say, okay, this $75,000 was slated for police. What do you want to put it towards now instead?
And I kind of have the same note on mine using the numbers I came up with.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think if we are going on the assumption that the tax bill will not pass, I think we all voted to put it on the ballot. I think that, in my view, that implies that we are setting our police as a priority, and I would like to put, at least 2 officers and their equipment in as part of the supplemental request. So I think that would move us forward move us forward into the direction of staffing up the police, because we saw that as a big need, which is why we voted for the voted for the tax increase.
So that would take up 180,000 plus 33,000 for half of the 33. If we did 2 instead of 4.
Yeah, it'd be half of the 51 and half of the 360 if we go with 2 officers. So that comes about 200,000.
By half of the 33 as well.
What 33?
Right below the 51.
2 vehicles.
Yeah, but
for new
we
officers.
need 1 then, right? If we were doing 2, Chief, if
So it'd be half.
it would, if we were doing 2 officers instead of 4, be 1 vehicle instead of 2. Okay.
And then I also think the supplemental insurance for 10K, we need to.
Oh, I think that's absolutely critical. I mean, so, Mr. Foreman, then on all this, because of the way it's laid out by department, just the way my brain works, it would have been great to see one that you would have looked at and gone, hey, here are the ones that are kind of like no brainers or mandatory, like the compensation and analysis strategy that you use, like required, right? I mean, or like the records management, the timekeeper module, like the water thing that would pay for itself. Are we missing anything on the mayor's list that is kind of what I would say is a no-brainer like that either protects the town or has a payback ability without going through? Yeah. Nothing.
No,
Okay.
That's really the ones that are,
Okay.
that are key.
All right.
Yep. So let me make sure I got that down. I want to make sure that I'm kind of tracking this. So we said 2 officers, 1 vehicle, the $10,000 for the FOP dues and supplemental insurance,
And the new officer equipment.
and the equipment. So half of the 51 too.
Yeah, half of the 51.
26.
So that would end up being approximately $231,000.
Yep.
And then that's going to take a whole lot off of this list that the mayor's got on here. If we did that, right? Because that's not on here now.
Right.
Which I have no qualms with that. I mean, I was throwing out my suggestions, and that's what we're looking to do, is get everybody's suggestion.
So, Rosa, is that correct? It leaves about 159,000 after those.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So then I just suggest that it looks like the highest priorities as we've gone through the list have not been that much of a big ticket items, like the clerk's request for $3,600 and finance request for $2,500. Yeah, those are efficiencies. So they all have a not kickback, but they all have a benefit to us in the sense that we're becoming more efficient in the process.
It's kind of just like we're looking at this. It's kind of interesting because it's like, okay, if we, plan like the tax isn't going to pass, then it sure takes up a whole lot more of this. And then I think we're all kind of hopeful that it does, so we get it back for some of these other areas. It just makes it a little hard it makes it interesting to process. Let's just say that.
It's a difficult year.
And we could move our next meeting is November 3rd, which is the day before, or November 2nd, which is the day before the election. We could move it till Wednesday until after the election if we want to get a jump on whatever we might want to do. Just throwing it out.
You would make Ms. Hogan very happy if you did that, I think. 'Cause we've had that discussion about having it right before the election.
Well, we still wouldn't be able to have it in this room until
Right.
November 9th. Election results wouldn't be technically official until November 25th, although we'd probably have a good idea of what would pass and what
Right.
would not pass. You could cancel a regular meeting and you'd have to call a special meeting, and special meetings can be limited to just a couple of items. You can't
It would
change
just
your
have to be
agenda and all
inside.
those types of considerations.
Previously, we've canceled that meeting, correct?
Yeah, we have canceled it on occasion, only to call a special meeting because we needed it for budgetary reasons. So,
Well,
Okay.
what about, would it help you to not have that meeting?
well, I'm fine either way, to be quite honest.
Okay.
Whatever the board's needs are, I would check more with the finance department and with the planning department, just to make sure they don't, obviously Rosa can weigh in on whether we would need that meeting. The planning department told me of one ordinance that will be on that agenda. I don't know if they've made public notice and would have to redo their public notice. Perhaps Larry or Debbie could weigh in on that. But that's all that's on that agenda currently.
Do we? We don't have Larry or Debbie on. Okay.
And so if you do have it at the regular scheduled time, we're going to have it in a different location.
Can I make a suggestion?
Or online. Mayor, yes.
I was just going to say, is there a chance we could do it on the 9th, if that's the day that the boardroom will be back to being available? That we would potentially have results. It could give me a day or so to put some stuff together prior to sending it out to you. Obviously, it would be later than you would normally get your agenda, but if we're doing a workshop, for example, I could incorporate stuff based on the data that we have from the election in order to move some things forward if you would like.
And then will we go ahead with the 16th if we did that?
I guess that would be up to the board.
16th being our regular meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we need to keep.
I would think we would need to keep it.
It actually, the 2 weeks in a row like that might help us really digest and get a lot of this stuff done in a short order, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah. My suggestion is you pick the percentage already, pick the date that you want to have the meeting, and then have everybody continue to review the request. And let's have that on that date that you pick. Let's have that discussion.
So, Ms. Hogan, you're saying we technically can't move the regular meeting. We need to cancel it and do a special meeting?
Well, you can always, Andy, if you feel I'm incorrect, feel free to correct me, but you can cancel a regular meeting, but you can't move a regular meeting.
Okay, that's
So,
what I was asking.
but you can, the mayor, you specifically can call a special meeting for if it's necessary. And it is limited just to whatever you decide is on the
One or two
agenda,
items.
which should only be a couple of topics.
Okay.
And I think
Okay.
so far our agenda, the next meeting, we potentially only have to the budget and possibly an ordinance for planning. Is that correct? So you could do that.
Do you need?
Like I need to get hold of Debbie and find out what the what the schedule is for that ordinance when she published that. If they go beyond the time, is that an issue? Or is it, do you know?
I believe their notices give a date certain that the hearing will happen. I think that's the main concern that I have.
Yeah, let me check with her.
Okay, so let's tentatively plan on the 9th. And we will wait for confirmation from town staff confirming that we only have 1 or 2 items. Will we be able to hold the meeting here on the 9th?
The county does plan to sanitize the room and have all their equipment out by, I believe, 2 p.m. on the 9th.
Okay.
We could make that happen, yes.
So at this point, we have town staff has their percentage.
Yes.
We don't have our priorities. I do want to mention, Trustee Stevens, my concern with putting too much weight on the police is that's also the reason we pursued the tax increase, was so that we could stop cutting other town areas to provide for the police department. So I think if that doesn't pass, we do need to really try to balance out and make sure we're taking care of all the departments. Yes, we do need, hopefully we get the support on police sales tax. But if we put too much into this, we're just going to suffer in other areas and be behind in those areas too.
Yeah, I understand. I guess I'm just concerned about the issues that were raised by Chief Hemingway. And so I think we need to, safety of our people is, in my mind, one of the most foremost issues. And so anyway, so that's why I'm recommending 2 officers.
Okay. Mr. Foreman.
Debbie responded. She said they advertised for the November 2nd. We need to find out from our attorney if we need to advertise again for November 9th. If not, she said the applicant's good to go to November 9th.
Okay. At this point, is there any further discussion on the 2021 budget?
I don't know if this would be helpful to you guys, but do you think it would be helpful to give maybe give staff direction to use this $390,000 number and come up with, based on the priorities, something like you did, for us to just say, hey, if this is the number we've got, this would be what we would like from each department, and have that as input for when we meet next, or no?
I'll let Mike comment on that. I feel that what staff has put together is their priorities.
Okay.
Right. Totally agree with that, Mayor. That these are their priorities in list of priority. And so I think what staff and directors, everybody's looking for is just direction from you, because you got to remember, you represent the citizens and you represent what their needs and wants are. And so I think it's really up to you to make these decisions, because I could give you my opinion on some of these, and it may not be anything like what some of your constituents want. And so I think it comes better from you and your constituents than it does from me as the town manager. We give you this list to choose from, and then it's really up to you to make the tough decisions on what you're going to be able to fund.
Kind of like our conversation earlier on IT and what serves the community the best.
Right. Yeah, and also I think it's important for us to take the onus on on the board so that we alleviate. I know we have a great staff, but it can create tension between staff if they're fighting for this, the same dollars. We're the politicians, so go ahead and throw it our way.
Okay, at this point, we will go ahead and end that discussion unless any of our board members online have anything to add. Okay. That takes us to public comment for items not on the agenda. Mr. Anderson, do we have anybody online? Okay. Officer Romano, do we have anybody in the hall waiting to speak? Thank you. For the time being, we will move forward with our next item, but leaving public comments still open for a few minutes. Board authorization items. It does not look like we have any authorization items from town staff. Do we have any board members that would like to add an authorization item? Okay, we'll move on to town manager report. Are there any questions for Mr. Foreman in regards to the town manager report?
Just one comment on that, Mayor and Board. I'd like to thank town staff for the great job they do on that. Madeline really heads that up and does a remarkable job of getting reports from all our directors and stuff like that and getting that put together. So really like to compliment them.
Okay. I do want you to reemphasize, I think some board members may not have gotten the word or missed an email on the response we had for pursuing major potholes in parking lots and that issue that came up in another meeting.
Definitely. We had several staff members work on this, and I think the chief has a staff member, and then Madeline also worked on getting the Walmart Home Depot area and stuff like that repaired. If you go by there now, there's a lot of great repairs that have been done. Talked to Jim McGrady with TriView, and he was just amazed at how our staff was able to get the owners of that area to repair their potholes in such a timely fashion. I think once y'all had made the decision that we needed to pursue that, we got it done in days. And so I was really thankful for the group of employees that worked on this. They did a great job of making the right contacts and you know, telling them that it's very important that we get this taken care of, because we were getting a lot of complaints about this. We were having people that were having broken struts and stuff like that. And so it was very important for us to get this done, and they responded quickly.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And it was a quick response too.
Definitely.
So any other questions about the town manager report? Okay, before we get to board of trustee comments, no public comments. So at this point, I will close the public comment period and bring it back to the board of trustees for board comments. Okay, with no board comments, I will look for an adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.